Hey everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at whether the next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, we'll be taking us to around the 18th or 19th of September, so getting on into the second half of the month. We're going to be keeping high pressure very dominant for the next week or so anyway. Certainly this week into the weekend, and probably into the start of next week. We could start to see a change later on next week, particularly the second half of next week. We're talking around day 9, day 10, something like that, a long way out. The models are in quite good agreement about this, but we have to be careful because the breakdown from this high pressure has already been put back by several days. Originally it was going to break down around the 11th, then we pushed it back around the 15th, now gone back to around the 18th or 19th of September. We could push it back further than that, it's hard to say. Very often the models are too progressive really in breaking down high pressure blocks when we're in them. One of the features that you tend to find in winter that the models want to end very cold interludes, periods of blocking too quickly, and we end up being locked in a cold spell for much longer than is originally anticipated. That's the idea in the winter, but it works through the year, so it could be that models are still breaking this down too quickly. We'll have a look at all the charts in a moment. Just want to mention the ads. So there's video ads to my pages at GazWeathers.com. If you play on video ads, you'll be supporting GazWeathers.com. Thanks very much for doing that. Just to say about the European Outlook, if you wonder what happened to it, I took Sunday off. I normally record the European Outlook on Sunday night and post it through on a Monday morning, but I decided to have a bit of a rest on Sunday. I've been doing a lot of updates lately, so I rested the European Outlook. It should be back, hopefully, on Monday next week. Okay, let's get on with the video, and we're going to start off with the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts for the next 8 to 10 days. We've got the ECMWF here on the left, the GFS is over on the right as always. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is where we've got high pressure and low pressure being moved around by the jets. And on this chart, low pressure below average heights indicated by blue colours, orange and red colours are indicating above average heights, which extrapolates to high pressure. So you'll see that quite obviously both of these charts, both of these models are indicating a vast area of above average height sitting around, and generally going a little bit to the north of the British Isles, certainly hinting, or perhaps more than hinting, that this high pressure is beginning to go north, beginning to retrogress a little bit, go from east to west, and maybe starting to set up some northern blocking, which of course allows this cut-off low pressure feature down to be southwest of the country, which again both models have indicated by this blue area just here on both charts, allowing that to start to push northwards and eastwards. And this is the way that the models at the moment are seeing we break down from this fine spell of weather to something more unsettled. It's from the form of the high pressure going north, probably becoming something of a northern blocking type feature around Greenland, and pushing up this cut-off low from the south, and that eventually gets tied in with a vast area of low pressure that develops in the Atlantic, and it turns into a very unsettled latter stage to the month. Now we're going to have to wait and see whether that is indeed how things pan out, but that is the thinking that the models are picking up on really this morning. So the GFS shows this quite nicely, temperature and precipitation ensembles. The red line here is the 30-year average, and no problems up to the middle of the month. This is the 15th of September. Just here, quite obviously, we're going to be below. We're going to be above average, above the red line, for at least the next week, probably the next 10 days as well. Very prolonged above average spell coming up. As we know, we've got cooler nights going on at the moment, so it's not quite as straightforward as it looks. We are offsetting warm days by cool nights, but I think we probably feel the high pressure back up with cloud actually towards the end of the week and into the weekend, so nighttime temperatures will pick up, daytime temperatures will drop down. It's really the rainfall spikes that are interesting up to the 15th. No rainfall spikes at all to speak of. Going beyond the 15th, they start to come back very gradually, and it's really from around the 18th, 19th, this period just here, that precipitation spikes really do come back. And then, on the face of it, we're setting up quite a wet spell actually as we're going through the latter stages of the month. This takes us around the 25th of September, just here. But again, I have to emphasise that could well be pushed back, because we've already pushed this breakdown back by several days. We could push it back further. I'm not at all convinced about this, and won't be really until it comes into the 5 to 7 day sort of time frame. Of course, the high pressure will have to break down in the end. It can't go on forever, but it's just determining whether these models are breaking it down too quickly or not. Here is the temperature anomaly for the coming week. We're going to be a little bit above average, not dramatically so, but a little bit above the seasonal average, around 0 to 2 degrees above average for most parts of the country. Notice virtually the whole of Europe is warm as well. The precipitation anomaly, very dry for the coming week, the 9th to the 17th. In those red colours, so it is going to be a dry week coming up. Have a look at the generic charts then. Here's the GFS for a week's time. High pressure well and truly dominating, still up over Scandinavia. There's the cut-off low off the coast of Portugal. Moving through the charts, we find that low pressure gradually beginning to push northwards up through certainly the Bay of Biscay, possibly western parts of France as well, as this high pressure very, very gradually begins to relax and starts to push a little bit further to the northeast. Moving through to Thursday the 18th, we find that low pressure developing in the Bay of Biscay around France. That's probably pushing up a band of quite heavy rain by that time. High pressure again still there over Scandinavia, so you see how this could well all end up with high pressure just going on, really, because it's not far away, it's not really moving a great deal, it's still stuck rigid over Scandinavia. If this low pressure doesn't develop like this, or if the high pressure is just a little bit stronger, we're going to maintain that high pressure even up to the end of next week. By day 10, we are firmly breaking into an unsettled pattern then. High pressure above Scandinavia, ridging up towards a developing high pressure over Greenland. That's the sort of hints of northern blocking I was talking about. And low pressure is properly moving in then from the south. So we're breaking down the high pressure. And certainly for Ireland, England and Wales, it's turning wet by that time. The ECMWF shows a very similar situation. The high pressure again is in there over Scandinavia through the start of next week. This is Tuesday the 16th, a week's time. Getting through to Wednesday the 17th, no great change. The high pressure continues to dominate. The cut-off low is again off the coast of Portugal through the middle of next week. And then through to the end of next week, Thursday the 19th, there's the low pressure beginning to push up from the south. This high pressure is going further northwards, heading up towards Greenland and Iceland. If it does do that, it's going to allow this low pressure to come up from the south. Notice this feature over here, far to the west of the Atlantic. That's going to be remains. If it does form, it's going to be the remains of a tropical storm. I think it'll be either tropical storm or Hurricane Edward, and what that could do, if it comes through the Atlantic that way, it could well start to sort of merge with this low pressure coming up from the south and lock us into a very unsettled into September. We've got to wait and see where that goes. It could either go up towards Greenland and promote high pressure back over us again. If it comes through the central part of the Atlantic, that will really break down this unsettled pattern. So that could be a big player as we get through towards the final 10 days or so of September. The GEM, finally, the Canadian model shows that we've got high pressure there across Scandinavia, showing signs of ridging towards Iceland and Greenland at the start of next week. That's the cut-off low again out in the Atlantic. And the GM doesn't really bring that in, actually, so this is how we could stay locked into this dry pattern even to the end of next week. The low pressure is kept there over or off the coast of Portugal, with the high pressure really being maintained up to the northeast of the country. As I say, if that comes off, and it is a plausible scenario, it could be that models are, or the GFS and the ECM anyway, are breaking this down too quickly. If that comes off, then we maintain locked in to the high pressure. So it's hard to say really which way this is going. I'm dubious about this breakdown because we've had forecast breakdowns before and they've not come off. So until this comes into the day 5 to 7 time frame, we've got to remain cautious about it. On the face of it, fairly good agreement that by the end of next week we'll be breaking out of this high pressure, but not convinced. Going to have to wait for more runs. That's it for now, and thanks for watching.